And there are times where you should use a ratchet over an impact. But with that being said, let's pop this open and let's take a look at the inside. Now I've taken apart a Matco, a Pittsburgh, the ICON Comfort Grip Flex Head, and I took apart a straight handle ICON just for comparison. I've already took that apart. If you watch the other video, you'll see I've took them all apart, but I didn't take apart the Matco in the last video because I wanted to take it apart when we do the Flex Head. So we'll look at all of them and we'll see any differences. And as we've seen many a times with the Pittsburgh, it has the 2-pawl style here with these little springs, and these little springs are actually the problem in these ratchets because the on-off switch is, not only is it backwards, but if you breathe on it, it switches from on to off, from off to on, whatever the case may be, and it is annoying. If you had to snake up in somewhere, you have it on off, and bam, it's done flipped over to on, so it is pretty annoying. But we'll look at the Matco first. We can see what it looks like when you engage the switch on off. It has the pawl here. These are actually 88 tooth ratchets, so they're pretty similar to the ICON 90 tooth. And we can see the Pittsburgh, we see a big difference. I mean, it looks nasty in there. Some of that's grease from where I've put grease in it. But I mean, just the design of those are what all the cheap ratchets look like. And it must be the cheapest, most efficient way that they can produce these so they can make the most amount of money, because it's a decent ratchet. It's a pretty good ratchet. You can use it in a professional setting for a long time. I've used that for 2 years in a professional setting, and I've used that as my main ratchet just to see how long it would last, and I've never had it break, not once. And as I said, the only problem is the on-off switch. So if you could get past that, then you could go spend $20, $25 and have a good professional grade ratchet, in my opinion. Is it better than Snap-on? It's not as good a quality as Snap-on, no, but it can be used to do the same thing as a Snap-on. But when we look at the Flex Head ICON, we can see the way it moves. It's similar to the Matco. And as I said, the Matco is 88 tooth, so that's 92, so they are similar design. But when we look at the straight head ICON ratchet, the gear, the pawl, and the switch is a lot bigger than the Flex Head. I would expect the Flex Head to be smaller. The Flex Head ratchet is a more versatile ratchet. It's not meant to be used to be cranking on or anything, so I would expect it to be smaller. It's slimmer. It's supposed to be, it has a whole different application than your big, beefier ratchets. So I actually appreciate the fact that this head is smaller, and I would actually prefer it to be smaller. But we can pull this out. We'll pull the pawl and the gear out. And it actually is the same design as the straight head, except the gear is different. We can see here it's concaved in, and there's a ring, and the gear is a lot smaller than the straight head. But if you want to see more detail, I actually took it all the way apart. If you want to see more detail, you can find that in my other video. I just wanted to take a look and see if the design changed at all or what's different. And the main thing, as I said, that looks different to me is the head is a lot smaller, the paw's a lot smaller, the switch is a lot smaller, and the gear's a lot smaller. But other than that, the overall design remains the same. So let's go ahead and we're going to put these back together and we're going to start cranking on them. Okay, we're back. We got the big vise installed. And here's a fun fact for you. I've did this and didn't press record, so I got to do it again, but we'll get it done. Gonna start off with 100.
104.6.
104.6. Close enough.
That broke pretty easy.
That broke pretty easy. Do it again. 104.3.
Snap on.
Snap on. And if we look, we can notice that this ICON ratchet is actually about 2.5 inches longer, maybe 3 inches longer than the snap-on. And it's longer than the Matco as well, but these are the closest I have. $102.9 for the Matco. Gonna go up to 125.
126.
126.8.
$128.
128.3. A little high on that one, 134.1. Now I feel like that should probably be the max that I would try to do with the 3/8 flex head like that. So what we'll do is we'll go up to 150. And we'll see if they can do it, because I want to try to look at some of the flex in the handles. But as I said, every tool has its place, and I feel like the flex head ratchet should probably be used for more lighter applications. And granted, it is 14 inches long, so you can get some extra torque. But with that being said, once you start getting up to the tighter bolts, your suspension bolts, your bigger bolts, then most people are going to switch to the breaker bar, the 25-inch flex head, longer 1/2-inch ratchet. Those are going to be better for your tighter bolts. But we'll do this just for review's sake. $151.8. 153.3. Now, I'm not putting a pipe on the end of these because, for one, you know, they're not designed for a pipe. And granted, we do put pipes on stuff we're not supposed to put pipes on. But the main reason is because I don't like putting pipes on comfort grip ratchets. That's how you destroy your comfort grip faster. So I would prefer not to use a pipe on that. Now, would I use a pipe if I had to? Yes, I absolutely would. But I'm not as interested in max torque capabilities for a 3/8 flex head ratchet as I am for being able to function and loosen up some of the tighter bolts that I may encounter without having to crank it to 200 foot-pounds, 175 foot-pounds, 250 foot-pounds, and see if this little ratchet can handle it, because I'm more interested in overall function and how well it'll hold up to practical uses, everyday uses that these ratchets are going to be used for.
With that being said,
Because it requires quite a bit of force to crank this thing down to 156, as we've seen there. And I'm using a 2-foot digital torque wrench to do that. So, I mean, I'm able to apply a lot more force than I am. I can get more leverage because of the length than I am these shorter 12, 13, 14-inch 3/8 flex head ratchets. All right, let's take a look. Held up to it. Just as a bonus, I'll go up to 175 and I'll just do it on the ICON. Let's see if it can handle it. 181.7. As I said, that's a lot of torque, man.
I mean,
And I mean,
it done shifted my...
it done shifted my whole table again, which is the bad part about having casters on this table. But with that being said, it's so heavy that I want to be able to be mobile with this thing if I need to be. And I actually built this myself. And if you haven't seen the video, I'll link it up top. But with that being said, it was one of my first videos I did. So I don't know how good you may consider it to be. Here we go. Let's see if it can handle it. Want to make sure we're getting a shot of the whole handle. And there we have it. So I don't think that thing would see any more force than that on a job. And if it is seeing more force than that on a job, then maybe you should rethink your tool of choice at that particular time. But with that being said, let's go ahead and end this. Well, once again, I think that these ratchets are pretty good. I mean, everything I've looked at seems pretty good. The flex in the handle seems pretty good. I like the motion of the ratchet. I like the finish of the ratchet. I like the looks of the ratchet. Do I think the ratchet could probably be used professionally? Yes, I do. But as I've said before, I think the Pittsburgh Pro ratchet could be used professionally because I used it professionally for 2 years straight and never broke it once. And I'm talking about I abused it. I didn't just use it, I abused it, which I tend to do with my tools. So I do look for durability over the long haul. That is one of the most important things to me when purchasing tools. Do I think these ICON ratchets probably would last? Yeah, I do, but I can't say that definitively until I use them over a long extended period of time. And by long extended period of time, I mean at least 6 months to a year of everyday hard use. Then I could give you an honest assessment. But as of right now, I'm pretty impressed with all the ICON tools I've tested. I think they are high quality tools. And I think if people can get past the name Harbor Freight, then I think that they would be pleased as well with these tools. But with that being said, I don't know if I don't know if that'll happen as immediately. I think it could happen over the long haul, but immediately, I don't think a lot of guys are gonna run out and buy ICON to use professionally. They're not going to fill their toolboxes up, obviously, but with that being said, you could pick up one of these ratchets for $35, $40, $45, $50, and I think you'll be pleased with it. I know I'm pleased with it, and I'm going to use them all the time. And we took off the comfort grips and we looked at underneath, and they don't extend all the way to the bottom, but none of these ratchets are going to extend all the way to the bottom. There's going to be some room for the comfort grip to set, which is why, like, if you rip your comfort grip off on the bottom by putting a pipe on it, then you'll see that those ratchets don't go all the way down to the bottom as well, because I have done that quite a bit. And that's why I don't like putting pipes on comfort grips. Now, as I said, there is a few things that I think you should do when you first get these ratchets. You should take them apart and put some grease in there, or some heavy oil. And I also think you should take the Torx bolt out and apply some industrial grade Loctite to help keep that head stiffer longer and to help keep that bolt in there longer, because those are the weak points on these ratchets. They all work themselves out. They're all weak. They all eventually will pull out, even with the snap-on, the Mac tools, Matco, all of them, man. They'll all work their way out. And with that being said, this Pittsburgh, I've done it, and this thing hasn't come loose one time. The head is getting a little bit wobbly, but this thing is 2 years old, and it's been used every day for 2 years. Heavy, as I said. I'm not just looking at my tools. I'm not just talking about how I think these tools are. I'm telling you, I've used this Pittsburgh, and I think the Pittsburgh is a pretty good ratchet. And I think a lot of professionals could use the Pittsburgh ratchet, and I'm not the only one. There are a lot of guys who do. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go down and subscribe, because I got more videos like this coming. And I got a big one that's going to be coming up here next week, so you don't want to miss that. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Till next time, stay real.